Hello and welcome to FPL, mate, your best mate for Fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan, and today I've got for you another draft video, another team draft video for you today. So as we know, the fixtures have now been released. We know who's playing who. So now we can actually build a draft that actually is going to look a little bit similar to what we might start with at the beginning of the season. So yeah, a few of you have asked me to make this video, so yeah, I'm more than happy to do it and show you what I'm thinking right now. I'm going to warn you that I take my FPL fairly seriously, I'd say. So seriously, I have my own YouTube channel, for God's sake. So yeah, there might be a few decisions where I go through the video and you'll think, what's he doing that for? But I will explain everything. I'll explain my thinking. I've got a game plan, okay? Got a game plan, guys. So yeah, I'm going to share that with you today, my current thought processes. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Here is the beautiful animated pitch that took me so very long to make. And I've changed the graphics a little bit as well, updated them, so let me know if you like them. So if you are into these slightly fancy, slightly graphical based FPL channels with a little bit of talk in there, a little bit of chat, a little bit of personality, then yeah, please do consider subscribing. Plenty more to come. I'm absolutely smashing FPL videos right now. I'm hardly taking a day off. It's exhausting, but I'm absolutely loving it. So let's get straight into it. So goalkeeper. In goal, I'm going for Alex McCarthy at 4.5 million. He's currently one of the two, I guess, budget goalkeepers that I'm actually considering. There's two keepers that I think are worth considering at 4.5 million, and that is Alex McCarthy and Matt Ryan. I'm going for Alex McCarthy. I do think he has the superior fixtures. McCarthy, his stats, they don't actually show the full picture from last season. So when they're looking at what 4.5 million goalkeeper can I put in, they're looking at Ryan and saying, Ryan got more points last season, right? But you've got to remember that McCarthy missed 10 games last season at the beginning of the season through injury. So his overall total stats don't show how good he is. Per 90 minutes, McCarthy actually beats every other goalkeeper for save points other than Tom Heaton. So he gets loads and loads of save points. He beats all the big guns like Pope, Leno, Henderson, Dubravka, the people you think of getting all these saves. McCarthy's actually topping them all. I also like that Southampton were in a slightly improved defensive side in the second half of the season. That could have correlated with McCarthy being in goal as well. And what's even more interesting is that Southampton seem to be investing all of their money in the transfer market in defence. So they've already signed Kyle Walker-Peters on a permanent transfer. They've signed the highly rated Ghanaian centre-back Mohamed Salisu from the La Liga. Everyone was looking at Salisu, wanting to get him into their teams, and Southampton got him. And they're also now looking at bringing in Weston McKennie as well, who is a really, really talented young centre defensive midfielder. So all about defence for Southampton. So I really am happy to go in with Alex McCarthy, get the save points, get the clean sheets, and look at the fixtures as well. He's got great fixtures right through for the first sort of 10 games. So really, really, really interesting. So definitely happy to go for him as my cheap goalkeeper and spend loads of money on the rest of my team. That's where the fun is, right? Next up, Trent Alexander-Arnold, 7.5 million. We know that he's awesome, basically. We know he's going to score loads of points. Top scoring defender last season. He's a lot of money. He is less money than I thought he'd be. And the very fact that I thought he'd be more money sort of suggests to me he is well worth the money that he is. So happy to go for him. I really like him because Liverpool get so many clean sheets. All the set pieces, so corners and free kicks, are taken by Trent Alexander-Arnold. So he's going to be scoring goals. He's going to be getting assists. And that means even more points, even more bonus points for Trent Alexander-Arnold. So he's very, very highly owned as a player for a reason. And I don't think you should really even consider making a team without Alexander-Arnold. Unless you really, really are struggling for budget. I can't imagine personally having a team without him in. So he's in for me. Next up, Ruben Vinagre, 4.5 million. Obviously, at Wolves, their usual left-back, Johnny, has an ACL injury, so he's not looking to be back until sort of Christmas time. So that means, for the time being, this young understudy left-back is going to be playing for Wolves. Wolves, a very good defensive team, 5th best defensive record in the league last year, so it's really good to get involved in the Wolves defence. And what better way to do it than go for someone who is super, super cheap and does the job just right. Next up, Nathan Ferguson, 4 million defender. Yes, 4 million. People are calling him the next Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which I really like. He's a really highly rated young right back. He's just signed for Crystal Palace, and he is expected to play. From speaking to a few Palace fans, it really looks like Nathan Ferguson has been brought into play. So it's kind of strange that he's been priced at 4 million, because you literally can't go wrong at 4 million when you're buying players. So I really do recommend bringing in Nathan Ferguson if you're looking for a literally bottom of the range price defender. He can play anywhere across the back line, but he is expected to start at right back. Definitely one to keep an eye on, and as I've said in previous videos, there's no better way to keep an eye on a football player than to have him in your fantasy team. Moving on to midfield now, and the obvious choice is Mo Salah, second highest point scorer last season, top scorer of the season before, I think. Well, or at least he was up there for the last few seasons. He's had some amazing seasons recently, hasn't he? So he's definitely a player you can trust to get you points. He's greedy, he's a very greedy player. He's always hungry for goals. He's on penalties as well, which I really like. And when you're comparing him to someone like Mane is the differential pick out of Salah and Mane. But I do like Salah more. He's actually 0.5 million cheaper than he was last season, and I don't think he's a worse player than he was last season at all. So you're getting the same player as last season, who was a great pick last season, but for now even cheaper. So definitely worth having in your team, in my personal opinion. So that's why he's in my team. Plus, with Manchester United and Manchester City, obviously they're not going to be playing in game week 1. In terms of premium players, you're going to have to look at Liverpool, you're going to have to look at Arsenal, you're going to have to look at Spurs and Chelsea, because that's the only other way you can get premium players in, really. So yeah, Salah is a pretty easy choice to put in my team here. So next, I've got Aubameyang, 12 million. Really interesting because he was considered a striker, a forward in FPL last season. This season, he's considered a midfielder in FPL, which means he's going to get even more points for all his goals. And he scores an insane amount of goals. He scored 22 goals last season, 22 goals the season before. He doesn't seem to be getting any worse. He doesn't seem to be slowing down. He seems to be getting better, if anything. And Arsenal, I think, under Arteta, now they've had a pre-season and their the coronavirus break as well, they're probably going to push on a little bit and finish a little bit higher than they did last season. So I do have high hopes for Arsenal, and Aubameyang is going to be the central figure in all of that. So he's going to be a really good player to own, at least temporarily, because Arsenal have got very good couple of fixtures right now. And then moving on, we can easily switch him to Kevin De Bruyne. Maybe I'm thinking Kevin De Bruyne comes in game week 3. I gain 0.5 million because Kevin De Bruyne is a little bit cheaper, and I gain all the points from Aubameyang in the first 2 games, and I rotate these heavy hitters with transfers to try and maximise and get the best out of the fixtures on offer. So yeah, Aubameyang in for the first 2 game weeks, get me loads of points, plays Fulham first, genuine captaincy option, as is Salah. So yeah, really good player to own there. Next up is Son at 9 million. Now, Son is going to be, again, a stopgap for me. I'm not going to hold on to Son permanently. In fact, I'm probably only going to play him just in the first game week against Everton. That's my current thinking. I'm thinking Son in for the first game, and then make sure I have enough money in the bank to get Bruno Fernandes, similar sort of player, Manchester-based attacking midfielder. So yeah, I'm going to bring in Bruno Fernandes after he has his first blank. In game week 2, we can bring Bruno in and we can start picking up Bruno's points. But Son played insanely well early on under Mourinho before, obviously he got an injury. And so I'm expecting similar sort of returns this season. So he's one of Spurs' 2 players who are going to get any returns really out of Son and Kane. And I do believe Son is the better player. I do prefer Son in my team than Kane in my team, definitely. So yeah, very happy to own Son, at least just for the 1 game week. See what he can get me, and then almost certainly move him on for Bruno Fernandes, who is a much more tantalising FPL pick, isn't he? And then finally in midfield, I've got James Ward-Prowse, again back in the Southampton boys. He boasted one of the best goal expected involvements during the post-lockdown break. So he had really high expected goal involvements, really highly likely to get assists and goals as well. He actually underperformed it by quite a little bit, so I do expect that to progress towards the mean. He's got some good fixtures. Like I said before, he's nailed on. He's on set pieces. He's the sort of centre hub of the Southampton team, really. It's a team that they build around James Ward-Prowse. And he's a real differential as well, so I quite like him. So on all corners, free kicks, we're going to get some goals, we're going to get some assists, maybe just through pure luck with James Ward-Prowse, because having a set piece taker gives you that as well. Even on penalties as well, he's often on penalties. So yeah, really looking forward to having more and more Southampton players in my team. James Ward-Prowse. Going up front, we've got Timo Werner. I'm going to take a punt on the new man, just because of his stats, his record in the Bundesliga in Germany was so good. 34 goals and 13 assists in 45 games last season for RB Leipzig. That's more than a goal contribution per game. So really, really good statistically. Typically, German attackers translate really well into the Premier League. So think about Aubameyang, how well he transitioned into the Premier League. He sort of hit the ground running completely. He was scoring every game when he first came to the Premier League. Exactly sort of same thing with Pulisic. He embedded in really well at Chelsea when he came straight from Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga. So players coming in from German League are not as much, I personally feel, are not as much of a risk to put straight in your team. A player from like the French League, for example, I'd probably more say, don't bring them in your team straight away. Maybe give them a few games, see how they get on, and then make the decision. But I'm going to go in aggressive, go in hard on Timo Werner, and stick him straight in my team. And he's going to be the focal point of a new look Chelsea attack that's looking really strong. And I just think he's the best premium forward option. I prefer him to all the other guys, so that's why he's in my team. Pretty easy, really, isn't it? Next up, Alexander Mitrovic. He is insanely highly owned for a player who's just been promoted to the Premier League. He does have Premier League experience, so he has played in the Premier League before. Fulham also have insanely good fixtures. I think they have definitely the best fixtures of all of the promoted teams. Right up till game week 10, they've got so many green fixtures, so he's going to be the main man in the Fulham attack. He's got a great scoring record. I really do believe Mitrovic is Premier League quality, and when you're looking at promoted players, you want to look at the players who are Premier League quality rather than these sort of peripheral in the squad just because they're lucky enough to be in the Premier League kind of guy. If Mitrovic did not get promoted with Fulham last year, I do think Mitrovic would have been signed by a Premier League club anyway, so he's definitely that kind of player. There's always a risk that he could get a few yellow cards. He's known for his discipline issues, but he has improved his discipline, but he's still going to get a few yellow cards, so do be prepared for that. And finally, Che Adams. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I've been hyping up Che Adams quite a lot recently, and for good reason. 2.2% owned, so not really many people have picked up on him yet, but I really think he's a great option if you can't afford Ings, because Che Adams finished last season so strongly. So after the break, he had the second best goals per 90 minutes of any player post-break last season. 0.89 goals per 90 minutes. He was only beaten by Giroud in that metric of all forwards. 8.9 goals per 90 minutes played. That's just insane. So it's a case of if Adams gets minutes, he will score. He beats Ings for his expected goal involvements when he's on the pitch. 4 goals and 1 assist in 4 starts after the break last season. But he also came off the bench 4 times as well. He's statistically beating Ings all over the place. And I think if he can nail down a starting place in the Southampton team, he's just going to be an absolute gold, an absolute revolutionary player. And I'm really expecting good things from Southampton as well, just because they finished last season so strongly. I think I read an article which said if the whole Premier League was decided in the 8 games post-break, then Southampton would be third, and they'd only be beaten by Manchester United and Manchester City. So after the break, last season, so sort of from game week 30 to game week 38, Southampton were the 3rd best team in the league. So hopefully they can continue that form, and Che Adams will be amongst that form indeed. So let's go on to my bench. So I've got Orjan Nyland. He's a non-playing budget keeper from Villa. Although saying that, currently, as things stand, Villa don't have a fit goalkeeper other than Nyland. I think they got one other goalkeeper, Jed Steer maybe. But Nyland is the next player on the list who would be playing. So assuming Villa don't sign a new keeper at the beginning of the season, Nyland is actually going to be playing. Obviously he'll miss game week 1, but he will be playing. So not that it matters. I'm never going to put him on the pitch, but he's worth keeping in my team anyway. Next on my bench is Tariq Lamptey. An interesting pick. Brighton are expected to line up with 3 at the back, which means Lamptey is going to be playing essentially right midfield, despite the fact that he's listed as a midfielder. The last game of last season, Brighton lined up with Tariq Lamptey on the right mid, and he created 2 big chances and 4 key passes as well. So he was really creative there, and it looked really good. So if that's any indication of things to come, Lamptey could be amazing. Just because not only will he get his clean sheets, he'll also get some goal contributions as well. So I'm really, I've been speaking about Lamptey a lot, and I'm going to put him in my team. Money where the mouth is again. He's not going to be starting my game week 1 just because his first game week fixture is not great. So, and same with my other budgets defender. So I'm going to be rotating the 4 defenders that I've got. Trent Alexander-Arnold will play every game, and then these other 4 defenders are going to be playing every single. We're going to be rotating depending on who has the best fixture. And I've sort of worked out that everyone can play at certain points. There's always going to be a point where one guy, maybe two guys, has a bad fixture, so the other two can play, that kind of thing. So that's going to work as in sort of rotating my defenders around a little bit, and they're all so cheap that it doesn't matter. I can do that quite easily, so that could be really, really beneficial. That's sort of part of my game plan a little bit. And the other defender on the bench is Luke Ayling, 4.5 million. Leeds fewest goals conceded in the Championship. Ayling got 4 goals and 5 assists last season in the Championship as well. He does bomb forward, he does get goal contributions. He scored an absolute wonder goal that I've seen a clip of last season as well, which I really, really enjoyed. I think he's the safest pick out of the Leeds United defence. I do think Leeds United are not going to be as bad as you think they're going to be. Promoted teams usually they're probably going to be around the relegation zone, but do not underestimate how good Marcelo Bielsa, the Leeds manager, is. He is an absolute class act, so that's going to be really interesting to see how Leeds get on, especially defensively. I think they might pull out a few shock results and a few masterclasses, so do be aware of Leeds. And then finally on the bench, Anthony Gordon, 4.5 million, so he's a rock bottom priced midfielder. I've gone for him over someone like Stevens. Stevens did get more points last season because he played more. He's played semi-regularly at Brighton. But because Stevens is so highly owned, it means he's going to get a price drop very, very easily when people start thinking, actually, maybe I want 5 guys in midfield. But Anthony Gordon looked really promising, and he did get some minutes under Ancelotti last season as well. So maybe he's going to get some minutes, maybe he isn't, but it doesn't matter because he's there to be on my bench. I'm putting all my money on the field, other than the defenders, which I'm going to rotate with subs, and then my attacking players I will rotate with transfers. So that's sort of my game plan there. I know a lot of you are going to say, what about your captain and your vice captain, because I have had these comments before. But so I'm going to say captain Aubameyang against Fulham, mostly because I'd say the two choices, main choices anyway, are Aubameyang and Mo Salah. Leeds, like I said, Marcelo Bielsa, I think he could pull a little bit of a masterclass out against Liverpool. First game in the Premier League. Leeds aren't going to go down easily, not at all, not by any stretch of the imagination, and they're going to surprise a few. And I don't think Liverpool are going to smash them. Aubameyang, I know people think of Mo Salah as more of the typical guy to captain, but Aubameyang, now he's in a midfielder, he's going to be getting more points on average per game, and he's playing against Fulham, who are genuinely, well, from last season's data at least, not particularly good defensively. And last time they were in the Premier League as well, very, very poor defensively. So they are an early shout for a whipping boy. We talk about whipping boys when we're picking our captain, a team that you think are going to get an absolute rollicking, so many goals scored against them. And Fulham, early doors, I'm saying Fulham are likely to be one of those teams. So Aubameyang, first game in, he could be playing up front. We don't know where he's going to be playing. What we do know, he's going to score a lot of goals this season, and what better way than to start against Fulham. Hat-trick incoming, plenty of points for me, and plenty of points for any of you who go for the same decision as well. So there's my team. As I said, Aubameyang out probably game week 3 for Kevin De Bruyne. Son out for Bruno Fernandes, game week 2. There's 5 defenders for me to choose from that I'll rotate based on fixtures. And also the other point that I wanted to make was it will leave me with 0.5 in the bank after all of that as well. So it's likely that one striker, and we don't know who it's going to be, is going to come into massive form. Last season it was like Pukki and Ashley Barnes. They did really well, started scoring goals. No one really expected them to score so many goals, and they sort of did earlier on in the season. So I do want to have the option to switch to one of those players fairly early on, try and identify nice and early who's going to be the surprise package striker, because there will be one, there always is one. So yeah, I'll probably switch to them fairly early on as well. So that's the game plan with this team. I know this video has been super long, but I did want to sort of explain my thinking a little bit, and hopefully that makes sense to you guys. But yes, that is the draft. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please do consider subscribing, sticking around for more content. There's going to be plenty more. There's been plenty so far. I've got some other videos if you want to go watch them. Up to you. If you did enjoy this video at all, please do leave a like. If you've got any comments, I do try and respond to every comment. I do struggle to reply to all the rate my team comments because it takes a long time and there's just so many. But any quick questions and stuff like that, I'm really happy to answer and engage and chat with all of you guys really in the comment section. If you're interested in joining my mini league, the code is in the description. I don't know what else to say. I'm on Twitter or Instagram if you want to follow me on there for whatever reason. Links again in the description. And yeah, before this video goes on, I don't have anything else to promote or say. Hopefully you enjoyed this video though, and I really hope I'll see you guys on the next one. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.